Hey, welcome back to my channel. So today's gonna be a little bit more chill. It's gonna be another kind of surrogacy pregnancy update, chit chat, what kind of our birth plan is, how that sort of works with labor and delivery, and where everything's going, and essentially what's happening with the birth of this surrogate baby. So if you're interested in that, just keep watching. And I did want to say, I know I've been doing a lot of unboxing videos, but I am going to be making a video pretty soon kind of explaining why I have so many breast pumps that I've been unboxing. So definitely stay tuned for that. But let's just jump into this video. Okay, so by the time you guys are watching this, I'll be 34 weeks pregnant. And it's pretty much now that I'm at 34 weeks, it's been hard. Just the exhaustion and being really tired, which is the same as exhaustion. And I'm a stay-at-home mother, and I have 2 boys that I also raise. So it's just a lot. I'm definitely kind of getting at that point where I'm okay, I'm ready to, give birth, but then I'm also I don't know if I'm really ready to actually be delivering and kind of in pain. But we really haven't had any complications with this pregnancy, which has been such a blessing. The intended parents are so happy about that. I'm happy about that. My doctor's happy, my midwife's happy, my husband, and our family. We are just very blessed to have so far an uncomplicated IVF surrogacy pregnancy. As for kind of am I doing anything different for this pregnancy? Not really. I mean, obviously I try to eat healthier, but you can't always do that every day. That's a really dumb expectation to kind of have, to just oh yeah, I'm just gonna have salads every day. Nobody has that. So it's just, I do try to eat more. I feel or eat better. I do eat more. So, there's obviously that, but I think the biggest thing that I try to do is drink more water. I definitely have trouble with constipation during pregnancy. I think a lot of people do. I especially have a lot of trouble with it, so I try to drink as much water as I possibly can just to keep myself hydrated, and it kind of makes me feel a little bit more energized. I also try to exercise, but I really haven't. Pretty much when I hit the 3rd trimester, I stop my kind of exercise routine, which is literally just walking on the treadmill for 20 minutes. So I have been having, I don't know if you can see in this frame, but right here, I have been having a lot of muscular pain. So just stretching, pulling. Sometimes it almost feels like tearing, but it's literally just my muscles and my ab muscles just spreading over the baby. She is pretty high still, and then will kind of bob down into my pelvis. She is head down now, thank God. For a while she totally wasn't, and I was kind of getting a little bit nervous. I mean, she still at 34 weeks would have time to turn, but I feel with my 2 boys, they turned super quick. But she is head down now, which is awesome. And the muscular pain is pretty intense sometimes. And also I've been having some back and rib pain, kind of back here. And that's just more of my body just stretching, making room for her. So I've had a little bit of that with my 2nd, but this is definitely a little bit more intense. So I am taking it easy a lot more, just because then I don't have that pain. And I do have a belly band that I've been wearing that does seem to help. And I've been getting prenatal massages. I just had one last week, and it was so, oh my God, if you are pregnant, get a prenatal massage. I know that I mean, it was the best $100 that I've ever spent. It was so good. My mom also got me 2 of them for my birthday, so I'm having another one in March, which I can't wait for. My due date is April 6th. I really don't think I'm gonna make it to April 6th. My first I delivered at 37 weeks, and then my 2nd I delivered at 39 weeks. So I've never actually made it to 40 weeks, knock on wood. watch this one like be way overdue, and then I have to be induced, which also like causes anxiety because I've never been induced, but my midwife assures me that I would be completely fine if I was induced. It would just, you know, go really quick. If you don't know, my labors have been really quick. My first was 6 hours and my second was 3.5 to 4 hours. It's a very speedy but a really intense labor because it's so fast. It is a blessing that it's so fast, but it's also super intense. So that being said, why don't I just talk about like what our like birth plan is. One thing I do want to mention is that I haven't actually drawn up a birth plan for the hospital. That is something that I want to talk to my midwife about and actually see if I need to do that. My midwife is not going to be delivering surrogate baby, but she is actually going to be at the birth as my doula. I am going to be delivering at a hospital, which is about like 5 minutes down the road from me. This will be my first hospital delivery. My two keepers were all delivered at home. My youngest son was actually delivered right here where I'm sitting in a tub. So this is a whole new experience for me, labor-wise, and my husband as well. My husband is planning to be at the birth. I am also planning to have both the intended mother and the intended father at the birth, and my midwife, like I said, as my doula, and the hospital staff and doctor or OB. So we kind of have a crowd in the hospital room, which is fine. I think that I definitely really want the intended parents to be there, because right after baby is born, I don't need to have the baby on my chest. I want to be able to hand the baby over to the intended mother once the cord is cut. But anyways, I think I'm like getting ahead of myself. So my plan for this birth, and my intended parents like haven't really given me like any kind of stipulations on, you know, no, you can't get this, you can't get that. Obviously they do want like an all natural birth because that is better for the baby, but they haven't been like, no, you can't have an epidural, like you can't have any interventions. We're not planning on having an elective C-section. Obviously, if we need a C-section due to a complication, that will definitely happen, and I'm not somebody to be like, absolutely not, I would never have a C-section. I obviously don't want a C-section, but if the doctor and my midwife felt that it was something that needed to happen, then we would totally do it. So my plan, I keep rambling, I'm sorry. My plan is that I will go into labor spontaneously, hopefully before 40 weeks or at 40 weeks, around there. And I will labor a little bit at home until I kind of feel, okay, yeah, we really need to go. Usually for me, I labor throughout the whole day. So like my contractions will kind of start like in the morning-ish, lunchtime-ish, and they will gradually kind of get more intense. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen with this surrogate baby. It's really, really hard to tell, but this has happened with my two keepers, like almost the exact same way. I literally go into labor during the day and just kind of like ignore it, have a massive dinner, which I always think is so weird. Like, it's really weird. I have like a huge meal, and for some reason it like stays down and I never like throw it up, because I always think right after that dinner, I'm like, oh, yep, okay, we need to go home and deliver this baby. And then I get worried that I'm gonna throw up because like I just ate this massive meal, but it never happens. It's almost like my body's like, okay, like you need some energy, like start eating. So my plan is to really like labor at home for a little while. Obviously alert the intended parents as soon as possible. But I also like don't want to alert them like too soon where they're like driving up here. They live about an hour away from me, and then they get here and like nothing has happened. But you know, they've also assured me that that's fine. Like they, you know, they'll just drive back home and wait until they get another call. Midwife has said that I should call her, or I should go to the hospital when I would normally call her to come to my home. So that sort of makes sense for me, because normally I would call her pretty much right before my water breaks. That's kind of when, for my two boys, that's when we called her and she came over and she would be like, okay, like you need to start, you know, moving around and standing up. And then I would like literally walk around for a little bit and then my water would just spontaneously break. And I would just be like, oh, you know, thank God, like this, you know, things are progressing. This is good. And then that's when it would like, baby would engage and it would get so intense. So, you know, that's sort of my plan. Once kind of I feel that we need to go to the hospital, I would go to the hospital, obviously, which is like 5 minutes down the road. We are going to have family members watch the boys so we don't have to worry about them. And my husband will either drive me to the hospital or meet me there, kind of like depending on what time of day it is. But I mean, once I get to the hospital, like I'm planning to just labor and not have any intervention. So essentially just like an all natural birth. I really don't want to have an epidural. I am slightly interested in like the gas just because that's kind of like a temporary thing and it's not like an epidural kind of like stays there for a while, and then usually with an epidural you kind of have to stay later in the hospital. Because I live so close to the hospital, there is the potential that after the birth I could go home, kind of depending obviously on how the birth goes and how I'm doing after the birth. Usually during the labor I like to move around as much as possible, and that's something that I really want to be able to do this time. With my youngest, I was in the tub, which was nice, but I also felt like super confined in the tub, and I really don't want to have that feeling again because I feel like the labor was more painful. Where with my first, I was kind of like walking around a lot, like doing these weird kind of squatting things and like going kind of like almost rocking a lot more, and I was kind of just, I don't know, I was able to just do a little bit more and like distract my brain from the pain, where I felt like when I was in the tub I knew I was like kind of stuck in there because if I got out I would get too cold because then the air would hit me, and I have like a circulation problem, so where I get like really cold and my fingers and toes get like super purpley and white, and anyway, so I get really cold and I didn't want to get really cold because I feel like that would have intensified the pain. So I definitely want to be able to move around, and my hospital has assured me that I'm allowed to do pretty much whatever I want depending on how the baby's doing, and they do monitor. I really like want to have the most minimalist monitoring as possible. Obviously, if the intended parents are sort of, you know, feeling really anxious about things and like want a little bit more monitoring, you know, I'm not like opposed to it, but I really just think if you just let things go the way they're supposed to go, like baby will come out like super quick. As for like the pushing stage, I've asked the intended parents to kind of, you know, be up by my head, which I think is kind of obvious. Like I feel like most people are pretty respectful of that, and the doctors and nurses will be down in the, you know, fun area. We are planning to actually have 2 hospital rooms, one for me and one for the intended parents, and that would be used after the baby is born. So pretty much immediately once the baby is born, they will probably put the baby on my stomach just to cut the cord, which is fine. And then once the cord is cut, my intended mother wants to do skin to skin as soon as possible, which I think is a great idea. While she's doing skin to skin, I will be delivering the placenta and, you know, being checked out and just made sure that everything's normal and good, and just, you know, being euphoric after pushing a baby out. And then after that, really depending on the hospital's protocol, like I'm hoping I'll be able to take a shower, have something to eat and drink, kind of just get comfortable, and that's probably when the intended parents will go to their own hospital room and like, you know, bond with their baby and see their baby. And I have asked to hold the baby at least once, but I am not planning to nurse the baby. So probably once, you know, I'm kind of a little bit more coherent and stuff, my midwife or one of the nurses will help me get hooked up to the pump so we can start stimulating that, because they do want breast milk, which I know I've said like a ton of times because everybody's like, wait, so are you doing breast milk? Like what? So yeah. And as for how long I'm going to stay in the hospital, it really depends on the birth and like if we have any complications. If we have like absolutely no complications, and depending on like the time of day, I could potentially go home. But I am sort of thinking that I should stay at the hospital for 24 hours only because I will be pumping, and it might be a little bit easier to just give the milk right next door to the baby, and then also to make sure that I do actually give myself time to recover. My midwife kind of made my midwife had a really good point, saying that you're not actually going to have a baby this time, so if you go home you might actually feel like, oh, you know, I'm fine, I can just do whatever, when I actually physically need to rest. Where when you have the baby, you're so tired that you know, make yourself rest, where I'm not going to have the child, so, you know, I might kind of have this feeling of, oh, you know, I don't have the baby, so I can just do whatever, when I should be recovering like I have a child. I should be pumping like I have a child. So I am planning to pump every 3 to 4 hours once my milk comes in. Usually my milk comes in on like the second or third day, and it's usually pretty painful for me. It comes like, it kind of just radiates down. My letdowns have always been like pretty painful, but it is a good thing because then I like know that things are working. So I'm really hoping that this birth will go smoothly and that the baby will be healthy for them. And I'm really excited to just see their faces right when we hand the baby to them. I know that I am going to have like a mourning period. I mean, how could you not? I feel like the mourning period is going to be more of me mourning the pregnancy, because this is my favorite part, is like the pregnancy. So I feel like I will definitely be mourning that. And then you are coming down off of tons and tons of hormones. So I am not going to set myself up for, oh, you know, you're not going to be upset, like you're not going to cry or you're not going to be emotional. Oh no, I definitely think that all those things will happen, and to an extent those things are completely normal, like the baby blues and just like the 1 to 2 weeks of just like emotionalness that happens after having a baby. How could that not happen? Because my body just delivered a baby. Obviously I've been mentally preparing that I will not have a baby, so you know, that's kind of already in play, I guess. But I can't, you know, I'm not going to say like, no, you know, I'm not going to be emotional. Like I definitely will, because the hormones will totally be raging. But I think pumping and having that to look forward to, and the pumping will also help with my hormones like level and kind of regulate. So I'm excited about all that stuff. And people have asked me if I'm going to do this again. And right now I would say yes, but I also haven't like experienced the birth and kind of the aftermath. So I feel like I can't really say yes, because it's not like a true yes. I really do want to kind of see how I am like after the birth and kind of how I feel. Obviously, if I did want to do this again, or if I was going to do this again, I would really want to give myself like a good 8 months to a year to fully recover. I think that it's really important to let yourself recover physically, mentally, you know, everything. Also, if I did want to be a surrogate again, I can't be breastfeeding or nursing, pumping. I can't do that. I have to stop that. So, and I'm planning to pump for at least, I want to make it to like 4 months. I want to make it to 6 months. I'd like to pump for at least a year, because that's really good for you physically. So, you know, but we'll see. Like I don't want to, you know, put too much pressure on myself. So that's kind of like our birth plan. I'm not really sure, you know, if there is kind of more of a complication, if things aren't really progressing. I really look to my midwife to kind of give that suggestion. Obviously, like I am going to be listening to my OB because I do trust them. But I think what I would do is listen to my OB and see what they think, and then immediately be like, well, what does Sarah think, my midwife? Because she is the one who knows my medical history. She knows my birth history. Like, she just kind of knows how my body labors. So I feel like she could really, you know, help in that sense. I'm trying to think if there's like anything else that I wanted to update you guys on. My next appointment is on February 26th. So that's just like a regular checkup. I am actually going to be doing a lot more kind of ultrasound and checkups once I hit 36 weeks, and I'll be doing some biophysicals and more monitoring, like non-stress tests. And I really want to make some videos on those because I am really interested, because I've never kind of had any of those. So I am sort of interested to see how they'll go. I think that's really all I wanted to say today, guys. I hope that you guys enjoy these kind of videos, and if you do, please like it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I know a couple of people, I've gotten a couple new subscribers, so welcome and thank you for subscribing. I've been trying to upload Mondays and Thursdays, and it's been going really well, so I'm really excited. But thank you guys so much for watching.